Picture this. Two people, same kitchen, same garlic, same recipe, same dish on the table 20 minutes later. One of them is getting the full biological benefit of everything we are about to discuss today. The other is getting almost none of it. The difference is not the quality of the garlic. It is not the amount. It is not whether they use fresh versus dried or raw versus cooked. The difference is a single step that takes no extra equipment, costs nothing, and adds exactly 10 minutes to a cooking routine most people already have. And almost nobody does it. Here's what I mean. Inside a whole garlic clove, two substances exist in complete biological isolation. Alliin, a sulfur-containing amino acid, sits in one cellular compartment. Alliinase, the enzyme that activates it, sits locked in a separate compartment. While the clove is intact, these two substances never contact each other. Nothing happens. No allicin is produced. The moment you crush or chop a clove, the moment you break those cell walls, alliinase is released and contacts alliin within seconds. A chemical reaction begins. And within the next 10 minutes, that reaction produces allicin, the compound that has been tested in dozens of independent laboratories and identified by researchers at Dr. William Lai's Angiogenesis Foundation as inhibiting the growth of new blood vessels that feed tumors by more than 60%. But here's where most people lose everything. They crush the garlic, and they throw it straight into a hot pan. Alliinase, the enzyme doing the work, is thermolabile. Heat destroys it. And not gradually, not partially, not at very high temperatures. 30 seconds in a microwave inhibits 90% of alliinase activity. 60 seconds destroys it completely. A hot pan does the same thing the moment the garlic hits the oil. The garlic that went into that pan, it smells like garlic. It tastes like garlic. But from a biological standpoint, the window for producing meaningful allicin has closed before it ever properly opened. Now imagine the person in the same kitchen who crushes the garlic and waits. 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes at room temperature. The enzyme completes its work. Allicin reaches peak concentration. Then the garlic goes into the pan, and the allicin and its breakdown compounds, which are heat stable, unlike the enzyme itself, survive the cooking process and reach your gut intact. Same garlic, same dish, completely different biological outcome. As a physician who studies Dr. William Lai's research on the body's 5 health defense systems, this is one of the most practically impactful pieces of information I can share. Not because garlic is the most potent food in this framework. It is not. But because the gap between how most people use it and how the research was actually conducted is so large, and the fix is so simple, that it represents one of the highest value changes most adults over 50 can make tonight. Today, I want to give you everything. The exact chemistry of allicin formation, the specific numbers from the angiogenesis research, the comprehensive meta-analysis data on blood pressure and cholesterol, the immunity mechanisms, the microbiome connection, and the complete preparation protocol, plus an honest discussion of what the human evidence actually shows and where its limits are. Stay with me to the end, because the section on what happens when you combine garlic with olive oil, and why that combination is specifically identified in Dr. Lai's research as a food synergy worth noting, may change how you think about your standard cooking process permanently. SECTIONONE, the allicin chemistry. Precise mechanism and timing. Let us establish the exact biochemistry. Because understanding it precisely is what makes the 10-minute rule intuitive rather than arbitrary. The precursor, alliin S-allcysteine sulfoxide, alliin, accounts for approximately 80% of the cysteine sulfoxides in a raw garlic clove. It is stable. It can remain in a whole clove for months without changing. No biological activity on its own. The enzyme, alliinase, a glycoprotein enzyme stored in separate vacuoles within garlic cells, physically separated from alliin by cell wall compartmentalization. Alliinase is inactive when isolated in its own compartment. It requires contact with alliin to do anything. The activation event, mechanical disruption. When you crush, chop, mince, press, or chew a garlic clove, cell walls break. Alliinase is released. It contacts alliin immediately. The conversion reaction begins within seconds of cell disruption. The timing, peak at 10 minutes. Research published in Science Direct in 2025 by Farias Campomanes and colleagues measured allicin concentration over time after crushing. Their data showed that allicin concentration at time 0, immediately after crushing is low. The amount of allicin in fresh garlic at time 0 is low because the enzymatic reaction that converts alliin to allicin takes about 10 minutes from the moment it is cut. Allicin concentration peaks at approximately 10 minutes and then begins to decline as allicin itself breaks down into secondary organosulfur compounds. The heat sensitivity, 30 and 60-second thresholds. Research published in the Journal of Nutrition found the following critical data points. As little as 60 seconds of microwave heating can totally destroy alliinase enzyme activity, whereas microwave heating for 30 seconds inhibited 90% of alliinase activity compared with unheated garlic. When alliinase is inactivated by heating, the cascade of thiosulfonate formation is blocked from alliin, and allicin and its derivatives cannot be formed. A hot pan reaches temperatures far exceeding those of a 30-second microwave in seconds. The moment crushed garlic contacts a preheated pan, alliinase inactivation begins immediately. Garlic added at the start of cooking, before any waiting period, produces minimal allicin. The good news about heat and allicin itself: once allicin has formed, during the 10-minute waiting period, it and its breakdown products are considerably more heat stable than the enzyme that produced them. Allicin that has already formed before cooking begins survives moderate cooking temperatures to a meaningful degree. This is why the 10-minute wait fundamentally changes the outcome. The enzyme does its work during the window. The products of that work then survive the cooking. The allicin breakdown products. Allicin itself is relatively unstable. Its half-life in crushed garlic at room temperature is approximately 2.5 days, and it degrades faster at cooking temperatures. But its breakdown products, diallyl sulfide DAS, diallyl disulfide DADS, diallyl trisulfide DATs, and other organosulfur compounds, retain significant, and in some cases greater biological activity than allicin itself. DATs in particular has shown potent anti-cancer activity in multiple independent laboratory studies. The secondary compounds are not inferior to allicin. They are different, complementary, and in some respects more bioavailable. The practical rule: crush or mince fresh garlic. Set aside at room temperature. Wait 10 minutes. Then add to your dish at any point, beginning, middle, or end of cooking. The 10 minutes is the entire intervention. SECTIONTWO, angiogenesis. The specific numbers from the research. Dr. William Lai's Angiogenesis Foundation has directly identified garlic as an anti-angiogenic food. Repeated tests have shown that an abundance of fruits, herbs, vegetables, and spices, including garlic, inhibit angiogenesis by over 60%. The garlic-specific research goes further. Patent research from Angiogenesis Foundation-related work measured the effect of alliin, a garlic sulfhydryl compound and direct allicin precursor, on blood vessel growth in the chick chorioallantoic membrane CAM model, which is the same pharmaceutical testing system the Angiogenesis Foundation uses to evaluate food compounds. The garlic sulfhydryl compound alliin was able to inhibit the growth of new blood vessels induced by BFGF by 92% out 10%, p less than 0.001, 92%. Statistical significance at p less than 0.001, less than 1 in 1,000 probability of a chance result. The molecular mechanism behind this anti-angiogenic effect is now characterized at multiple levels. Garlic compounds inhibit angiogenesis by suppressing vascular endothelial growth factor expression and secretion, hindering endothelial cell migration and proliferation via MMP2 and MMP9 downregulation, and disrupting HIF-1 alpha signaling under hypoxic conditions, thereby limiting tumor neovascularization. 3 simultaneous molecular targets. VEGF suppression. The primary growth signal tumors use to recruit blood vessels. Endothelial cell inhibition via MMP2/9. The proteases that allow new blood vessels to invade surrounding tissue. HIF-1 alpha disruption, the transcription factor that tumor cells activate under low oxygen conditions to stimulate blood vessel recruitment. Multi-target anti-angiogenic activity from a single food compound is exactly what Dr. Lai's research framework identifies as the characteristic of the most potent anti-cancer dietary agents. Single-target inhibition can be overcome by cancer cells through alternative pathways. Multi-target inhibition is considerably harder to circumvent. Allicin has been shown to inhibit the invasion and metastasis of lovo human colon cancer cells by downregulating the expression of VEG, UPAR, and HPA mRNA. This is direct evidence of anti-angiogenic and anti-metastatic activity in human cancer cell lines, not just animal models. The honest scientific context. The strongest anti-angiogenic evidence for garlic comes from laboratory studies, cell cultures, and animal models. Large, rigorous human clinical trials specifically measuring cancer outcomes from garlic consumption are limited, and their results have been mixed. The efficacy of garlic and allicin in preventing or treating cancer in humans remains inconclusive, as most studies have not yet undergone rigorous clinical trials. I mention this because honest science communication means distinguishing between what the laboratory shows and what human outcome trials confirm. Garlic is a meaningful part of an anti-cancer dietary pattern. It is not a standalone cancer prevention drug, and the evidence should not be overstated. SECTION 3, cardiovascular defense, 4 meta-analyses, 1 clear direction. This is where the human clinical evidence for garlic is strongest, and where the numbers from multiple independent meta-analyses converge on a consistent and clinically meaningful finding. Meta-analysis 1, Comprehensive Cardiovascular Review, 2026, published in PubMed PMID 405-80481. Comprehensive updated systematic review and meta-analysis of randomized controlled trials on garlic supplementation and cardiovascular risk factors. Results across all garlic forms. Systolic blood pressure, WMD 3.71 mmHg 95% CI, 5.07 to 2.36 mmHg. Diastolic blood pressure, WMD 1.97 mmHg 95% CI, 2.86 to 1.08 mmHg. Total cholesterol, WMD 10.21 mg/dl 95% CI, 13.69 to 6.74 mg/dl. LDL cholesterol, WMD 5.90 mg/dl 95% CI, 10.51 to 1.29 mg/dl. HDL cholesterol, WMD plus 2, 18 mg/dl 95% CI, plus 1, 49 to plus 2, 87 mg/dl. Triglycerides, WMD 5.82 mg/dl 95% CI, 8.16 to 3.49 mg/dl. Fasting blood glucose, WMD 2.77 mg/dl 95% CI, 5.25 to 0.28 mg/dl. Insulin resistance, HOMA, IR, WMDs 0.3795% CI, 0.59 to 0.15. Key reactive protein inflammation marker, WMDs 1.6 mg/L 95% CI, 2.38 to 0.82 mg/L. TNF alpha inflammatory cytokine. WMDs 3.94. Consumption of garlic resulted in a significant improvement in serum levels of triglycerides, total cholesterol, LDL cholesterol, HDL cholesterol, fasting blood glucose, insulin, insulin resistance, systolic blood pressure, diastolic blood pressure, and inflammatory markers including C-reactive protein and tumor necrosis factor alpha. Meta-analysis 2. Hypertension specific, 17 RCTs 2021. Pooled analysis showed that garlic intake caused a 3.75 mmHg reduction, 95% CI, 5.04 to 2.45, I squared 30.7%, P less than 0.001 in systolic blood pressure, and a 3.39 mmHg reduction, 95% CI, 4.14 to 2.65, I squared 67%, P less than 0.001 in diastolic blood pressure compared to controls. In patients with hypertension specifically, the mean reduction in systolic blood pressure was 4.4 mmHg 95% CI, 7.37 to 1.42, P equals sign 0.004. Meta-analysis 3. Long-term garlic, 10 RCTs 2025. The results indicated a significant reduction in systolic blood pressure effect, size 4.21, 95% CI, 5.74 to 2.69, P less than 0.001, and diastolic blood pressure effect size, 3.13, 95% CI, 4.42 to 1.84, P less than 0.001. HDL significantly increased effect size, 0.31, P equals sign 0.03, and tumor necrosis factor alpha significantly decreased effect size, 0.38, P equals sign 0.03. Subgroup analyses indicated significant reductions, specifically in populations aged 50 to 60 years. Meta-analysis 4. Hypertensive patients, 12 RCTs 2023. The results revealed a significant decrease in systolic blood pressure mean difference. 8.121, 95% CI, 10.95 to 5.28, P less than 0.0001, and diastolic blood pressure mean difference. 4.256, 95% CI, 5.99 to 2.52, P less than 0.0001 in subjects treated with garlic extracts compared to placebo. 405 patients treated with garlic derivatives and 333 receiving placebo were included. 4 independent meta-analyses, all statistically significant, all pointing in the same direction. Systolic blood pressure reductions ranging from 2.49 to 8.12 mmHg depending on the population and garlic form. Diastolic reductions ranging from 1.97 to 4.26 mmHg. Meaningful reductions in LDL, triglycerides, fasting glucose, insulin resistance, and inflammatory markers simultaneously. The convergence across 4 independent meta-analysis teams, all finding significant, consistent blood pressure reduction, represents strong human clinical evidence. This is not laboratory data. This is randomized controlled trial data in human subjects. The cardiovascular case for garlic is one of the most well-supported in nutritional medicine. SECTION 4. Immunity. Molecular pathways in detail garlic stimulates both humoral and cellular immunity, causing T-cell proliferation, restoring suppressed antibody responses, and stimulating macrophage cytotoxicity on tumor cells. It may increase selenium absorption with possible protection against tumorigenesis. Garlic may protect against certain cancers by halting cell cycle progression and inducing apoptosis of cancer cells, as well as by decreasing angiogenesis and influencing carcinogen metabolism. The apoptosis mechanism, programmed cancer cell death, is characterized in detail. Allicin triggers caspase cascades, including executioner caspases 3 and -7 and initiator caspases 8 and -9, mitochondrial outer membrane permeabilization via BAX and BAC oligomerization and cytochrome C release, BCL2 family modulation by downregulating anti-apoptotic BCL2 and BCL-XL, while upregulating pro-apoptotic BIM and PUMA, reactive oxygen species overproduction disrupting mitochondrial membrane. Potential. And DNA fragmentation with PARP1 cleavage, as observed in breast, gastric, and pancreatic cancer cell lines. These are the molecular signatures of apoptosis, programmed cell death, triggered through multiple simultaneous pathways. The multi-pathway nature of this effect is significant. Cancer cells frequently develop resistance to single-target treatments by activating alternative survival pathways. When a compound triggers apoptosis through 5 or 6 simultaneous mechanisms, as Allicin does, that resistance is considerably harder to develop. The H. pylori connection is particularly important for adults over 50. Helicobacter pylori, the bacterial pathogen that colonizes the stomach lining, is estimated to cause approximately 89% of non-cardiogastric cancers. Allicin and its derivatives demonstrate potent antimicrobial activity against H. pylori, including against strains that have developed resistance to standard antibiotic treatments. For adults over 50 who have never been tested for H. pylori, which is the majority, regular garlic consumption represents a dietary intervention against one of the most significant cancer-causing pathogens in the foodborne environment. SECTION 5. Microbiome. The prebiotic and selective antimicrobial balanced garlic operates on the gut microbiome through 2 simultaneous and complementary mechanisms that, taken together, represent one of the most complete microbiome interventions available from a single food. Mechanism 1. Prebiotic fiber. Garlic contains fructooligosaccharides FOS, a type of dietary fiber that human digestive enzymes cannot break down. FOS travels intact to the large intestine where it selectively feeds beneficial bacteria, particularly Bifidobacterium and Lactobacillus species. These are the same beneficial bacterial genera that dark chocolate cacao fiber promotes, increasing Lactobacillus by 17.5 times and Bifidobacteria by 3.6 times, as we covered in the dark chocolate video. Garlic FOS acts on the same species through the same prebiotic mechanism. Mechanism 2. Selective antimicrobial. Allicin and its derivatives suppress pathogenic bacteria, particularly H. pylori as discussed above, but also Clostridium, Salmonella, and other harmful species, while preserving or actively supporting beneficial bacterial populations. This selective antimicrobial effect is different from antibiotics, which suppress both beneficial and harmful bacteria indiscriminately. Garlic compounds act preferentially against pathogens. The net effect is what Dr. Lai's framework identifies as the ideal microbiome intervention. Increase beneficial bacteria through prebiotic feeding while simultaneously suppressing harmful bacteria through targeted antimicrobial activity. Building up and cleaning out simultaneously from the same food. The combination of garlic with yogurt, garlic-based dishes served alongside yogurt, or garlic incorporated into fermented preparations like kimchi. Stacks prebiotic delivery from garlic alongside direct probiotic introduction from the fermented food. The garlic feeds the lactobacillus and bifidobacteria that the yogurt or kimchi introduces. Layered microbiome support from two complementary foods, sectionSX. The complete preparation protocol, based on the full body of evidence. Here is the preparation system that maximizes garlic's biological activity. The 10-minute rule, non-negotiable, crush, press, or mince fresh garlic. Set aside at room temperature. Wait 10 full minutes before applying heat. This is the single most impactful garlic preparation change most people can make. Raw applications. Highest allicin delivery. Pesto, aioli, vinaigrettes, cold sauces, chimichurri, and any preparation where garlic is used raw after the 10-minute wait delivers the maximum allicin concentration. If raw garlic is too pungent, lemon juice or acid partially tames the sharpness while preserving the bioactive compounds. Cooked applications. Meaningful if prepared correctly. Garlic added to sautéed dishes after the 10-minute room temperature wait retains meaningful allicin breakdown product concentrations. Add garlic toward the end of cooking when possible, reducing total heat exposure time while still getting the aromatic integration into the dish. The olive oil combination, garlic sautéed in extra virgin olive oil. The preparation Dr. Li specifically references in the context of the Mediterranean diet combines allicin's VEGF suppression with oleocanthal's KEX1/KEX2 inhibition, two anti-angiogenic compounds, two distinct molecular pathways, one standard cooking step that has been part of Mediterranean cuisine for centuries. This is food synergy as Dr. Li defines it. Black garlic, the convenient alternative. Fermented whole garlic aged at controlled temperature and humidity for several weeks. The fermentation transforms allicin into stable S-allylcysteine SAC, which is more bioavailable than allicin and does not require the 10-minute rule. Black garlic has higher antioxidant activity than raw garlic in some measurements and a much milder, sweeter flavor. For adults who find raw garlic flavor unpleasant or who want a no-preparation option, black garlic is the most evidence-based alternative. What to avoid. Pre-minced garlic in jars. Allicin has largely degraded before you open it. Garlic powder from a spice jar. Processing destroys alliinase. No allicin possible. Garlic essential oil. Does not contain allicin or ajoine. Microwaving garlic directly. 60 seconds destroys 100% of alliinase activity. Let me close with the 4 numbers I want you to carry from this video. 92% inhibition of tumor blood vessel growth from garlic-aligned compounds in the Angiogenesis Foundation research model. P less than 0.001. 8.12 mmHg systolic, 4.26 mmHg diastolic. Blood pressure reduction in hypertensive patients from garlic supplementation across 12 randomized controlled trials. P less than 0.0001. 10.21 milligrams/DL total cholesterol across a comprehensive meta-analysis of garlic and cardiovascular risk factors. 10 minutes. The waiting time after crushing that makes all of it possible. One change. One number. 10 minutes between crushing and cooking. That is the entire intervention. Tomorrow on Thrive After 50, we are going to cover something that surprises almost everyone when they first hear it. Coffee. The drink that most adults over 50 consume every single morning, often with guilt, is one of Dr. Lai's grand slam foods, activating all 5 defense systems simultaneously. And the research behind that claim is some of the most compelling in nutritional science. Subscribe to Thrive After 50 so you do not miss it. I will see you tomorrow. All content is for educational purposes only and is inspired by the published research of Dr. William Lee and the Angiogenesis Foundation. Thrive After 50 is an independent educational channel and is not affiliated with, endorsed by, or officially connected to Dr. William Lee in any way. Always consult your own physician for personal medical advice.